Do you feel too full after meals like your digestion could use a little support? Try Bitter X from Quicksilver Scientific. Bitter X is a blend of botanical bitter extracts designed to support healthy digestion and your body's natural digestive processes. Bitter herbs have been used for centuries to support digestive function, helping stimulate digestive activity. Just a few pumps before meals make Quicksilver Scientific's Bitter X easy to add to your routine. Get 10% off and free shipping at tryqs.com/podcast. That's tryqs.com/podcast for 10% off and free shipping. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
What would you do if the thing haunting someone didn't begin in an old house, etc., but in the darkest moment of their life? How would you explain it if strangers unknown to each other all describe the same terror arriving with the cold? What if the most disturbing paranormal accounts weren't built to frighten you at all, but were simply people trying to tell the truth? And if something unexplained found people when they were most alone, would you call that coincidence, illness, or something else entirely? Now, I'm not sure we'll find any answers to those questions tonight, but I do know you're about to hear one of the darkest Dark Paranormal finales ever.
Live from Liverpool, The Dark Paranormal with Kevin Eustace.
Hello everyone and welcome to our season finale for The Dark Paranormal. Now, like many of the changes that have gone on this season, our finale tonight is different to any other finale we've done in the past. Now, allow me to get the usual things out of the way because this episode warrants not just a trigger warning, but something more. So, don't forget, if you've got your own paranormal experience, you can find the link in the show notes where it says Submit My Experience. That will take you directly to the site, or go to thedarkparanormal.com/Submit My Experience. And if you wish to join our wonderful community over at Patreon, in my opinion, the best paranormal community out there, the link is also in the show notes, where you can gain a free week at our highest tier, which will give you full access, early ad-free access to anything on the main feed, and access to our entire back catalogue of Dark Bites. That is the show that is only for Patreons. It runs 30 minutes in length, and runs each and every week of the year, even on the downtime between seasons. And as you know, one is literally starting at the end of this episode. Not only that, but you will gain access to our community chats, and you can also gain access to our newest episode, After Dark, which is a 30-minute piece of me to camera, no editing, discussing what we spoke about in the previous week. Again, the link's in the show notes, or go direct to patreon.com/The Dark Paranormal. Now, I've been doing this show long enough to know the difference between a story that's meant to scare you and a story that just is what it is. No craft in it, no structure built to unsettle you at the right moment, just someone sat down, finding the words they can find, and trusting you with them. Tonight is different from anything I've put in front of you before, and I want to take a moment, before we go anywhere near the content, to be straight with you about what this is and what this isn't. The following accounts, plural, came to me through a support group, a real one, for people who have, at the lowest point of their lives, tried to leave this world. I'm not going to dress that up or talk around it. These are survivors. And somewhere in the middle of that surviving, in the middle of therapy and medication and the slow, hard work of still being here, something else started happening to them. Something that appeared to come with cold weather. Something they all, without comparing notes, started calling the same name. Every person you're going to hear from tonight was approached by the people supporting them, carefully and with the full knowledge of what this show is. and they've been asked if they wanted to share. They didn't have to, there was no pressure, and every one of them said yes. I think about that. I think about what it takes to say yes to something like that, from where they were sitting. And I have to say I have a lot of respect for it. I also want you to know that every one of these people is still being supported. This isn't a goodbye, this isn't someone falling through a crack whilst we watch. These are people in care, with people around them who made a choice to be heard on their own terms. So why am I sharing this? Well, because this show exists for one reason: to go where the paranormal actually lives. Not the cleaned up version, not the kind that makes for a comfortable 30 minutes before bed. The real kind. The kind that shows up in the lives of people who are already carrying far more than most of us ever will understand. If the darkest corners of human experience are exactly when something unexplained chooses to make itself known, and I've come to believe after everything this show has brought to my attention, that may well be the case, then it would feel like a betrayal of everything we do here to receive something like this and keep it to myself. These people have trusted me with something precious, and now I'm trusting you with it. So please hold it in the same way. In case you haven't picked up by now, there is a heavy thread throughout each of these experiences to do with people wishing to take their own lives. And I say that both as a trigger warning and also to give some sort of context to what you're about to hear. So, if any of that you would find upsetting, I pray do not listen to this episode. And if you choose to, I know you will listen with the compassion these experiences deserve. And so, if you're still here, we'll begin. The first voice you're going to hear from tonight is someone who describes themselves right at the start as not really a writer. I want you to hold on to that, because what they've put down on the page, unpolished, uncertain, searching for the right words, carries something that no amount of craft could manufacture. This is someone still early in their journey, still finding their footing, still not entirely sure what they believe about what's happening to them. But they showed up, they wrote it down, and they want you to hear it. I'm not really a great writer, so I don't know if this will be any good. They asked me in group to write about my encounters. I don't know if this is helpful. They tell me I'm sick, but the other girls in the group think we're all cursed, like some sort of punishment or something for trying to end our lives, which I've tried twice now. The first one on New Year's a while back, the second time was 2 years later, the second time was 12 days before Christmas. I heard about the group after the first time. Doctors said I should try to talk to them. I did, and it helped for a little while, but they said I had to stay sober. Well, I can't sleep sober. I'm not the only girl who says that too. They said I can't use anybody's name, not even mine, so this might get confusing. We all do fine for a while, then we stop sleeping. I get nightmares that keep me up. Most of the girls in the group say they hear ringing, and that's what keeps them up. I don't know. I've never heard the ringing, just the nightmares. Our nightmares are all the same, though. Naked people hold us down and tear us open. We only can't sleep when it gets cold. Some of the group even stop coming to meetings in the spring and summer. But then, when the cold comes back, the members do too. The doctors think it's like a seasonal change or whatever. I think it's him. He wants us. Not like other men either, it's different. He wants the men and the women here. He wants us to die so he can be born. That's what the older girls say. They tell us stories from when they were little. Old stories about him and his victims. He needs us to die so that he can live for a little while. He needs us to die so that he can live for a little while, they say. Just long enough to be born and curse someone else. I don't remember seeing the naked people the first time, but the second time they were there. They would appear and disappear, they would follow me. I know the group says it's in my mind, but I remember the second time and I remember them holding my hands and making me injure myself with sharp implements. Doctors tell me I'm trying to make it not my fault. I don't know, maybe they're right. I'm back in group again because I got caught drinking this Christmas Eve. I just wanted sleep. If I'm drunk, I don't have the nightmares. But they say it's the wrong way to do things, so now I'm starting again. No TV, no internet for a while too. I don't know what else to say, and I hope this is what you wanted. Now, listeners, that short, sharp introductory of the 5 we have is a very interesting gateway which alludes to what we are going to be dealing with on this episode. I think you can tell already, it's a very emotionally intense episode. And we move on to our second submission. But this one was so intense that I'm not able to read it fully. I've broken it down into bullet point form so you can still have the general gist of where this is flowing. Again, this second account, shared with full consent, follows a pattern consistent with every other account, but it does contain details I'm not comfortable reading aloud, out of respect for the person and for you. But here's what you do need to know. The contributor had a long history of self-harm beginning in childhood. Following a serious attempt to take their own life, they experienced prolonged sleeplessness during cold months. During that period, they began hearing ringing, consistent with every other account you'll hear tonight. They describe visitations from the same figures described by the others: naked, gathered, present in the dark. They believe they were chosen, not cursed, chosen. And they interpret that differently from the rest of the group. They are currently under the care of the same support network responsible for bringing the accounts to this show. They wanted their experience included, and that wish is being honoured here in the safest way I know how. But what stays with me about this one, and I'll leave it here, is that same word. Chosen. Whatever the Jingle Man is, whatever this thing wants, not everyone who encounters it experiences it in the same way. And I'm not sure which interpretation frightens me more. Our third account arrives with a different energy. Where the first was uncertain, this one is angry, understandably, honestly, justifiably angry. This is someone who doesn't want to be in a support group. They don't want to be talking about their feelings. They don't believe in the Jingle Man, and they want you to know that clearly. What makes this account remarkable isn't belief. It's the fact that despite every resistance, despite every refusal to accept the framework everyone around them is using, the experiences are still identical. The ringing, the nightmares, the winter, same as everyone else, but belief, it seems, is not a requirement. I hate doing shit like this, but the group says I need to get better at communicating how I feel before I blow up and get arrested again. I think they're full of shit. If people would just leave me the F alone, I could just shut up and stay calm. But the doctors say that's not true. One time I tried to hurt myself, just one time, and now I'm being punished for it for the rest of my effing life. There are people here who have tried hurting themselves over and over again, but they say they're less angry, so they get a free pass on everything. I hate this. I'm not going to hurt anyone unless they try to hurt me. That's legal and fair. So why are they keeping me here? I don't want to die anymore. I don't think I ever really did. I think I just wanted the ringing to stop so I could sleep. And I don't believe in this stupid effing Jingle man. I don't know why I'm still here. Yes, I have those same nightmares like everyone else in the group. Yes, I hear the ringing like everyone else, and yes, it's worse at wintertime. But I don't want to die. I hadn't slept in almost 2 weeks, I wasn't thinking straight, so I was stupid and I tried to end my life. I couldn't even do that shit right. I woke up in hospital and they tell me I have to talk about it every day. How does that help anything? That just makes me feel helpless. I don't believe in the Jingle man. I just believe in the nightmares and the ringing, and I just want to go home. I think from all of the submissions that this group have provided me, this one hit me the most, because it's a genuine shout from somebody who feels trapped. It's a shout from someone who is experiencing what everyone else is, yet is determined, it would appear, to not put a name on it. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, and I do believe in the power of belief. And in regards to what's healthy in this exact situation, I am most certainly underqualified to tell anyone. And with that, we move on to our fourth submission. Today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Do you know the 8th of March is International Women's Day, a day to celebrate women everywhere, recognizing just how much they do each and every day. I lost my mother at a young age, which some would say is misfortune, but it got me to know my nan who brought me up as a better person, and the strength she shone through in my sister, who she brought up also, and she's now the strong matriarch of a family of her own. And believe me, the absolute seeming ease that she holds together her family can be so easy to overlook, as we sadly still have that stigma of, well, that's a woman's job, that's what a mother's meant to do, etc. But the emotional well-being of the women in our life can easily be overlooked. And therapy offers a safe space that they can take care of themselves in a way they deserve. And gentlemen, just stop and think about those unseen expectations they wake to daily. Their happiness isn't just a good thing, it's essential. And therapy can help create balance, set healthy boundaries, and support overall well-being for everyone. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US. A quick questionnaire will help identify your needs and preferences. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform. Your emotional well-being matters, so find some support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com. That's betterhelp.com. Today's episode of The Dark Paranormal is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it. So your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Companies and affiliates' potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
It's a strange shift, isn't it? The parent who raised you needs some help. and you want to be there. With Care.com, you don't have to do it alone. Whether you're clear on the kind of care your aging loved one needs or still figuring it out, we've got support. Find background-checked in-home senior caregivers for anything from companionship to dementia care. Or browse senior living communities, read reviews, even schedule a tour. Plus, access to safety checks to help with your peace of mind. Still not sure what's best? Our senior care advisors, who are all master's-level social workers, can help you build a plan. For a limited time, use the code PODCAST20 for 20% off your initial Care.com subscription. That's PODCAST20, all one word. Good for 20% off. Start your senior care journey with confidence.
Now, although our third experience was the one that struck me the most viscerally, this fourth account is the one that stayed with me the longest after I first read it, because there's a grief sat underneath this one that the writer never quite names directly, but you'll feel it. A young person who lost the only person who mattered to them and then found themselves alone. Well, alone with something they couldn't explain. What strikes me is the moment the ringing begins, not at home, not in the dark, in isolation, in a cell, with no windows, no way to measure time. I've thought about this one a lot, about what it means that this thing, whatever it is, seems to find people when they're most isolated. Sometimes I don't believe I'm really here. I think about all the things I thought I was going to do, and I remember why I'm here right now. I never had anyone in my life except my big sister. She kept me after Mama ran away. But I effed all that up. I had to prove I was scared of nothing. It started easy. Carry this bag here. Drive for this guy. Stand outside and don't let anybody follow us in. Easy money. I knew it was bad every time, but I didn't care. I got paid and I got laid. It's that simple. Nothing better, but the jobs got bigger. Bigger job, bigger money. Sometimes we'd steal a car. Sometimes it was drugs. But that one night I got left behind when everyone else ran away. The cops showed up. I kept my mouth shut, and that's how I ended up in juvie. Guess I thought it was where you always end up, so I pretended not to care. Then, that Christmas, they tell me, my sister had been shot. It was a random thing, wrong place, wrong time, and that's when I was scared, because no one else was thinking about me. And I couldn't help but wonder if somehow I'd caused it. If I brought all of that crap too close to home to her. The other guys knew I was scared, even though I was hiding it. They started telling me things. Telling me she shot herself. She was all alone and that's what she turned to. I would get into fights over it and they'd put me in the bin. God say it cools you down and you get a lot of time to think when you're alone like that. And that's where the sounds started. First, the doctors thought it was head injuries after many fights. But then they tell me I'm not sleeping anymore. I couldn't tell. There are no windows in the bin, so I didn't know how much time had passed. Then my nose started to bleed all the time. And then my teeth started falling out. The doctors were afraid I would starve. I told them I was hearing ringing sounds and I couldn't tell if I was asleep or awake at times. They asked me when it started and I said I didn't know. They let me out of the bin and my cellies were all trying to scare me. They told me they heard that I was hearing bells and I was alone because the Jingle man was going to take me away. The night before my release hearing, they shouted this effing song at me. Over and over again, I screamed at them to stop. Then I woke up in the med centre. I'd had a fit and both my arms were broken and wrapped up. They told me I'd done it to myself, that I'd thrown myself against the wall until I broke my bones. Obviously, I miss my hearing, my release hearing, and the doctors take me somewhere else. I get to this new place and there are some old people, young people, white, black, all kinds. And they put me in this group and there are even girls there. And they want us to talk about the sounds and hurting ourselves. But they let me leave and I live at home like regular people. I take pills and I go to group. And the people there tell me we're cursed to hear the devil till we die. I don't want to believe them. But sometimes I wonder if they're right. I wonder if we are being punished for hurting the people we love. And sometimes I even have nightmares on Christmas about my big sister. She comes to stand over me while I'm asleep. Then she holds me down and screams at me. And I know she wants me to fight back, but I won't. If she wants to hurt me, I'll let her. If she wants me dead like her, I'm ready. It's Kev now, and I feel I must reiterate at this point. Everyone you're hearing from on this episode are all receiving the medical care that they require. They've volunteered their submissions, they're fully aware of what they've agreed to in terms of giving their experiences for use on the show. But as you can tell from that last experience, we are dealing with very, very dark material. But that last experience, if we keep our minds as hard as it can be in the paranormal sphere, it does make me think if this entity, this Jingle Man, has the ability to shapeshift into someone you would recognize if it believed it would cause the most harm, both mentally and physically. And from a sheer theoretical standpoint, that may mean we've already heard of the Jingle Man. We've just never attributed that name to him. Because if he has the ability to shapeshift into people we know, then arguably the plethora of experiences that we've received where someone has had a nightmare about a loved one or gone rogue, if you will, we may have already ran into this entity several times before. Now, our fifth and final account is in some ways the most grounded of them all. This is someone who found the Jingle Man through Creepypasta, that internet horror story site. And they'll be the first to tell you how ridiculous it sounds. There is a dark humour running through this experience that I found myself grateful for, given everything we've just covered. But underneath the self-deprecation is the same story, the same cold, the same ringing, the same figures, and something the others don't quite offer, a way through. I'll let them tell you about that themselves. I've had a weird life, so it doesn't surprise me that I've ended up here. Foster homes, abusive boyfriends, addiction. Ending my life was just another checkbox on my list of crappy chores. I know that now. I was a hooker before I was even a junkie. How messed up is that? The guy I was with got me hooked on drugs, so payment was drugs. No, that's not true. I got me on the drugs. He just made it easier to get the drugs. See, we can't blame others for the messed up choices we make. And we also can't stay feeling sorry for ourselves for too long. It's just as poisonous as anything else. It's actually kind of funny to me now. Okay, so I've no idea why the computer keeps trying to fix what I've wrote. Let me just type it how I want. If I have to keep going back to make format changes, I'll lose my train of thought. Anyway, sorry for the format issues. Group says you want to know about our curse. Well, the funny thing is, I found out about all this from dumb little creepypastas online. It makes me laugh now. What a dumb thing to get obsessed over. What a dumb reason to try and end yourself. Twice. I smile about it now, though. Stupid girl. Stupid choices. Stupid ghost stories. Stupid nursery rhymes. Stupid effing name. The Jingle Man. They said I let my boyfriend overdose. Police love that one. Then in jail, I guess the guilt got to me, and I tried to end myself again. I waited till lights out, and I waited till my cellmate fell asleep. I tore up my bedsheet and tried, but I must have made too much noise. Anyway, I woke up on suicide watch, and the doctors started me on therapy. I got my appeal and my acquittal, and then I was back out looking for jobs or whatever. I found a place, but I couldn't sleep at night, so I started scrolling online out of boredom. And like I said before, I found creepypastas. I found him. Dumb little Christmas horror stories. I stopped reading once the nightmares started, though. That seemed like a pretty normal response to me. Then, a few months later, it got colder, and the ringing started. At first, I was pretty sure that I was just scaring myself. But then I started dreaming whilst awake, hallucinating or whatever you call it. It was always the same. I would be alone, it would be cold, the ringing would start, and I'd see them appear. First out of the corner of my eye and then right in front of me. I'd turn around and they were there too. Or I'd switch off a light or something and I'd be surrounded. Strangers, naked, covered in blood, screaming at me with no sound. Maybe that's what the ringing actually was. Then it got worse. I lost track of time. I'd wake up somewhere I'd never seen before. And I'd began hurting myself. Then I started seeing them forcing me to do it. Like I'd blink, and they were forcing my hands to cut into my side or whatever. I was always at patient first, getting stitches or whatever was needed, and that's when I saw it. The nurse walked away and I saw my chance to slip right back into my old crappy habits. I stole painkillers, pills, full relapse. The messed up part was when I was high, the ringing stopped. I could sleep. No more nightmares. So I decided to make the ultimate decision one more time. I woke up on suicide watch again, but this time the doctors referred me to different support groups. It was like AA, but for freaks. People who believe the bogeyman is chasing them. Figures I would be involved in something so ridiculous. But I got clean. The nightmares stopped. I still hear the ringing though, but only in the winter. I guess it's something to manage like diabetics checking their blood sugar or whatever. And so that's my pity party story. I hope it helps someone else out there. I don't know if any of this Jingle Man curse crap is real, but either way, there is help if you want it. And that is the last of our experiences. I'll sit with you here for a moment before we go anywhere else, because I think you've earned that. I think we both have. 5 people, 5 lives I knew nothing about before that email landed in my inbox. 5 accounts of something that has no clean explanation, arriving from people who are already carrying more weight than most of us will ever carry. And yet, here they are. Surviving things that would have broken many of us. Choosing in the middle of all that to be heard. I've been thinking about what connects them. Not just the ringing or the figures or the cold, although all of that is there, consistent across every single account in ways that I find genuinely difficult to explain away. What connects them is something quieter than that. Every one of these people at the moment this thing arrived in their lives, was alone. Really alone. The kind of alone that has a weight to it. And in that weight, something appears to have came. Now, I've no earthly idea what this Jingle Man is, and I'm not going to stand here and tell you these are proof of things, because that's not what this show's for, and it's not what these people deserve. What they do deserve is to be taken seriously. And I hope tonight, whatever you believe, whatever framework you use to make sense of what you've just heard, I hope you felt that they were. What I will say is this. In all the time I've been doing this, all the stories, all the encounters, everything that's arrived in my inbox from every corner of the world, I've never felt as certain as I do tonight that I was right to keep going. This show exists for a reason. Sometimes the paranormal doesn't arrive as a curiosity. Sometimes it arrives in the darkest place a human being can find themselves. And if that's where it lives, if that's the territory we're really dealing with, then I think we have a responsibility to go there. Carefully, respectfully, but to go there. So for every one of these people who shared tonight, a massive thank you. And I mean that in a way I'm not sure I have the words for. To everyone listening, if anything you heard tonight resonated in a way that goes beyond the paranormal, reach out to someone. There are details in the show notes for several areas and several countries. You don't have to be alone with whatever you're carrying, paranormal or not. And one of the strongest things you will ever do as a human being is ask for help. Now, reverting to the paranormal before we end this episode and this season, it's interesting for me that I'm not sure whether we may have opened a can of worms in regards to this Jingle Man, or whether we are literally telling experiences from a group that may have whipped itself into a sort of folie à deux, albeit one that strangely contains identical similarities to the next experience. Now, we are going to leave it there. I appreciate this is an episode of contention, and I thank you all for joining me through this. And I do mean through this. Now, if you haven't already, the date to mark down in your calendars. Now, if you haven't already, hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this show, because then you will not miss our debut episode for the next season, season 24, coming your way on Friday, April the 17th. And if this season itself is anything to go by, I am beyond looking forward to it myself. Don't forget, if you have your own experiences, that link is directly in the show notes, and we cannot wait to receive them. Remember, this is a fluid show, so even though we have next season set out, the right experience will find its way in. We've proven that from show one. As ever, a big thank you to each and every one of you who listens to the show. If you want to give our free week trial of Patreon a go, whilst there will be no Dark Paranormal for a few weeks, the link again is in the show notes. And with almost 200 hours of Patreon-only content to binge in the back catalogue of Dark Bites, now is probably the best time to do so. And so, until Friday the 17th of April, stay safe, take care, and remember, whenever you're discussing the paranormal, always try to leave some of your disbelief at the door. And I'll speak to you next time, right here on the Dark Paranormal.